Welcome to the Women of High Value channel. My name is Joseph Darling. Today we're talking about a few different things. First of all, we're going to start with that this 3 in Love movement is for everyone. I want to give you guys hope today. What is the 3 in Love movement? The 3 in Love movement is simply put 1 man, 3 women. Monogamy, sorry to say it, it doesn't work. Have you noticed that? Have you tried relationships and failed? Yes, because by default, it is impossible to create a relationship that has consistency in it in 2 things, peace and passion. Those 2 are impossible to get right in monogamy unless the man becomes feminine and the woman becomes more masculine. And if you know my definitions on this channel of what those are, which is basically that in terms of women, masculinity means burden. Being burdened means that you're dying slowly but surely, okay? Like it's a struggle. It becomes worse. Life becomes worse when you become masculine. And for a man, his life becomes absolutely amazing if he remains masculine, with massively filled with testosterone. Unfortunately, monogamy causes him to become feminine, which means that both of them are going against their nature. Both of them are basically fish out of water trying to survive instead of being in growth mode. 3 in Love solves these problems perfectly and allows women to fulfill their feminine role and for men to fulfill their masculine role. And as they do so, life becomes absolutely amazing, okay? So 1 man, 3 women. The women fulfill their feminine role of homemaking, not having any career, and having the opportunity to have these 3 things. Number 1, they get loved and accepted for who they are with no blame, okay? This is a huge one, okay? So basically, that they won't be blamed for who they are and for what they express and for what they say, as long as they basically stay loyal to the group, okay? Number 2 is basically that they have the opportunity. This could also be number 1, by the way, but they're interchangeable. Number 2 is that they are allowed to be in love forever. Not just in the honeymoon phase, not just in the beginning infatuation stage, but having those emotions of desire throughout the entire relationship for life. If you noticed, I basically described the first 2 things, which is passion and peace, right? Knowing that they'll never ever be blamed for anyone because the man takes the full responsibility for everything that goes wrong in those relationships, and that's why there's harmony in that group, basically means that there's peace in the home. When the women are not to be blamed, they can blame everything on the man, there's peace. There's never any arguments. And if there are any arguments or tiffs between the women, because they live together, right? They spend 80 to 95% of their time together because of estrogen, because of femininity, and being in growth mode because of it. Guess what? If they get those tiffs, it's the man's fault, no matter what. You can test me. Send me any message or comment down below asking, well, if this and this and this and this happens, how can that be the man's fault? I'll find a reason why it's the man's fault, okay? Basically, that's it. Peace. And you can have peace forever. Peace allows the man to have consistency. The more consistent the man is, the more exponential his growth curve is in terms of his success, his financial success, his happiness, etc., etc., etc. He's trying to build massive organizations so that he can solve world problems. For this, he needs to have consistency. Consistency comes from peace. And if there's peace in the home, there's order in the home, then he can focus on more important things. Obviously, there's nothing more important than the home, right? And what happens there. But if he solved all the problems in the home, then he can tackle the other important things, which is basically solving world problems, if that makes sense. And being in love, infatuated, and having a passion for those that you're in a relationship with, it's basically That's basically being in love, but having that forever. And the third thing, which is awesome, which is only possible because of these two, everyone in these relationships now have a fire. They have a motivation. They have a drive towards doing the things that they desire to do. But especially the man. Okay? Now, obviously, you as a woman will have tons of motivation and desire and excitement in life, but it will be turned towards things of a non-financial nature. You'll be doing things because you don't care about money, really, do you? You only care about security, safety, trust, and love, and then being with those that you love and having health, right? Allowing the man to tackle the third category of life. You guys get health and relationships. The man tackles the financial aspect of life, and he crushes it because he's got more motivation than any other man out there because of his amazing family. Do you understand what I mean? When he does that, he now provides luxurious living and protection for this family. Those are the three things you get. Love, or passion, peace, and luxurious living. Who would say no to this type of system? Who would say no to this type of movement? It goes completely according to all of our emotional needs and desires. Men's desires are fulfilled, right? They just want sex. That's a huge thing that men desire. Massive sexual reward and worship for doing amazing things out there and bringing those resources home. That's what men want. Plus, they want amazing homemakers and they want amazing mothers for their kids. Right? That's the only thing that men desire. And if they desire more, it's basically just companionship with their kids and with their lovers. And then to solve massive world problems so that they can get worship from others as well. Right? That's what men desire. Women, they simply desire to do whatever it is that they feel like doing, whenever and wherever they feel like doing it. And if they are feminine and unburdened, they're only going to do good stuff. Women are perfect. So if they're put in an environment where they can follow their emotions and they're not blamed for anything and they've got the money and they've got the security that they're going to be taken care of, they'll want to stay loyal to their man because he's doing everything for them. And if he understands female nature, he knows also the necessary things in order for them to desire him at all times and all places, and that will cause obsession, and obsession equals loyalty. Okay, do you see how all of this is beautifully connected together? Okay, having said that, there's many people coming into this movement and wonder if they have a place in the movement. They'll wonder if it is for them. They have two questions. Is it for me, and is it too good to be true, right? Too good to be true is basically you having to study more of the things that I teach on this channel. There's hundreds of videos on this channel for you to learn from. Now, obviously, a lot of us are lazy, so we just go after each new video that comes along. But for those that intensely desire to understand the system, I would highly recommend that you watch all of my videos. Just simply start from the beginning, from the end, and then work yourself backwards. Because then you just do 2 videos a day. Because if you do that, you'll basically speed up the process 4 times faster than what I can do, since I do a video every other day. Does that make sense? So that is a huge aspect to it. You don't know if it's too good to be true. But also the other one is it for you? And that's my message for you today, is that this movement is for everyone. There's a place and a spot for everybody. Now, obviously, some will be more prioritized than others for whatever reason, right? Because when you do matchmaking, there are just some women that are more easily chosen than others. Now, is there a possibility of competing? Or it's not really competing, it's just being your best self. When you simply are your best self, you will attract to you people that are like you, right? You'll attract to you the other women so that you can have 3 in love, and then you'll attract the right guy into your lives. And that guy, as long as he's part of this movement and receives a stamp of approval from the men of high value community at large, that he is a man of high value, that he is trustworthy, integral, honest, loyal, and that he is all of those things, plus has created a massive, strong financial foundation and cushion for him to be able to provide for you three for the rest of your lives. Right? In the beginning, maybe there's not that much luxury, right? But that's okay because he's progressing. And the fact that he has 3 women now massively elevates his performance, his motivation, his drive, everything. Right? In the beginning, he's voluntary celibate, and then when he's built up a pretty good financial foundation, then it's time to get the 3 women. And once he has the 3 women, that's when the exponential growth curve happens massively. Because people are like, whoa, he's got 3 women. Whoa, they love him. Whoa, they're loyal. Whoa, there's man, they begin to get massive respect for him. And when that happens, suddenly everything takes off because he'll have tons of time, tons of opportunity. The women take care of each other, so he doesn't have to be there all of the time, which usually is the man's role when he is in a monogamous relationship. He still has the capacity to work 60, 70, 80-hour work weeks on his businesses. And this is what makes the system so amazing, because it literally allows women to fulfill their role and for the man to fulfill his role massively. It's one of the things that I love the most about the 3 in Love thing is for me as a man in the future being able to work as much as I freaking want. I just love to work, man. Literally, I just wish I could work so much. I'm passionate about working because there's a lot of problems in the world and I know how to solve them. That's why I want to work and I'm fired up about it. But, things need to be in place first because I got a family. So, having said that, there is a spot for you. There is a place for you. There's a place for everyone. There's 2 different types of women that come into this movement, into this channel, and they're saying, well, I don't really want 3 in Love. He's teaching a lot of good stuff, but the 3 in Love is not for me. I'm just here to learn about the femininity and how men work and how women function, etc., etc. Trust me, it's not going to work without 3 in Love, but that's okay. You're here and you're basically saying, I'm a woman of high value and I'm too valuable to share a man. Because the higher value I am as a woman, that must mean that, I deserve a man all to myself. Why would I share if I'm high value? Okay? That comes from a very, very faulty standpoint because your life will be capped at a certain point in terms of life satisfaction and fulfillment because you're not going to have those 3 things that I mentioned in the beginning. You might have luxurious living. You might. There's a few people that manage to get guys that have luxurious living for you. But since he is monogamous with you, remember that he becomes feminine, which makes it extremely difficult for him to be consistent because he's filled with emotion. And when he's filled with emotion, he's not consistent. He can't stay consistent with the boring and mundane tasks that are necessary in order for him to succeed. And that's a very big problem. And also, he always has to spend time with you. And once the kids arrive, then he basically has to put his business on 10-year hold or maybe even 15 or 20 years hold, depending upon how burdened you are with those kids and depending upon how much you guys neglect them. If you don't neglect them, maybe he won't have capacity. But if you guys do neglect them and put them in school, yeah, he might have capacity and get rich, but then you've screwed your kids over. So there's a lot of things that happen in monogamy that will cause you to have a lower life satisfaction and massively more problems than the 3 in Love family. Now, obviously, 3 in Love family will have problems of their own in the transition phase, but over time, in the long run, 3 in Love is the thing that causes the least amount of problems for the least amount of people. And also, if you're in monogamy, it's impossible for the man to enjoy his life if he takes the blame continuously for everything that you do. So, if you live in monogamy, you're not going to be able to enjoy the aspect of your man taking the blame forever, for the rest of your life. In 3 in Love, you get that. And also, lastly, but not least, you being allowed to be in love forever. That's impossible for you to have without 3 women chasing the same man and desiring his attention and wanting to be with him, and then seeing that they get pleasure from him, but knowing that you also will get pleasure because you enjoy the companionship that you guys four have together. If you're by yourself, you're simply just you and him, and then it becomes quite monotonous, and there's no other women that are interested in him because they can't flirt with him because you're there and you're his wife, and the moment they do, you get upset and jealous and blah 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 blah. Monogamy sucks. It doesn't work, and it doesn't give you those three things that I mentioned in the beginning. So today I'm talking to you guys, of course, but I'm also talking to you who believe that maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you don't qualify for those men of high value in the future. Do you deserve having the in-love emotions forever? Do you deserve to not be blamed for your maybe shitty past? Maybe all of the crap that you've gone through? Do you maybe feel unworthy of having that kind of high-value man in your life? Will I be able to get a guy like that? How will I know that I'll qualify or that he'll even want me? And last one, maybe you don't think that you will ever have riches in your life. Maybe that's kind of been part of your psyche that, I don't know why, but it just feels like I'm going to be poor forever. No, this movement, the 3 in Love movement, is for you. You can have all of those 3 things that I mentioned in the beginning. All of them. Let me explain how. So, when it comes to sexual market value, because this is where it starts, okay? When you're gonna find someone, it is crucial that there's a connection. Would you agree? You have the women on this side, you have the man on this side. In the man of high value movement, you're gonna have men who compete for the groups of 3 women that are out there. Now, obviously, as of now, with this small channel of 683 subscribers, there isn't many men of high value available. And in fact, there's zero men of high value that qualify to get started in 3 in Love right now, including myself. I don't freaking qualify. But this information needs to get into the hands of the people as fast as possible, and this movement will eventually grow. Now, as a matter of fact, right now, there's also 0 women right now who are ready to enter into 3 in Love. So it's really perfect, actually, that there's no one ready to start the matchmaking process. But it will happen eventually, okay? Now, why am I saying that? Because as we speak, we're coaching guys right now. They're understanding female nature. They're setting up their financial foundation. They're living voluntary celibate right now. And they're learning how to control their thoughts, emotions, and their behaviors. Is it a long journey? For some of them, it is a very long journey, right? The more feminine they were in the past, the harder it is for them to go through their journey towards masculinity. But it is a process, and they're gonna get there, okay? But you know what? It is the exact same thing for you women. You're not ready for this. You're simply not. There's a preparation process so that you can be ready and be the kinds of women that these men will desire in the future, right? Since you now have 1, 2, 3 years perhaps to prepare yourself for your future man of high value, this gives you a deadline to make sure that you are the kind of woman that he'd be fired up outside his brain to provide luxuriously for the rest of his life. You gotta understand though, that these men of high value will have options. It's not just gonna be options from the 3 in Love channel and those women that are part of this system that want this. They will be able to talk to any girl, anytime, anywhere, and invite them to learn more about this movement, right? So over time, they're gonna attract loads of women to this movement, and they'll be the kind of women that they like, right? So there's gonna be a lot of women that are in many ways will increase the supply, right? So you need to make sure that you are the best version of yourself. I'm not saying compete against the other women. I'm saying basically, if you just work on you and just worry about you, and obviously you're gonna care about whatever everyone else is doing, the more masculine you are, you're gonna do that. But the more feminine you are, the more you're gonna look look at what can you do right now to prepare yourself for your masculine man of high value. And that's what we're trying to set up, and that's what I'm explaining in this video today. So, as we explain this, if you think about the sexual market value now, how does it work in real life and dating processes these days? Well, guess what? We've got 20% of the most amazing women on planet Earth, and guess what? 100% of men would have loved to be with those 20% women. And that doesn't necessarily, we're not just talking about beauty now, okay? Beauty is a very, very, it's important part of it, of course. However, there's a big however there. You gotta understand that masculine men prioritizes several things ahead of beauty, as long as it gives them the things that they desire most, which is consistency, right? A masculine man wants consistency. If you're a woman that can give him consistency in his life in order for him to achieve his purposes, that gives you massive bonus score. Even if you're a medium, in terms of beauty, who cares? If you've got certain things, certain traits that allows him to be consistent and allows him to be on his purpose and allows him to achieve what he needs to achieve, then he'll be more fired up about you than a 10 bimbo. Okay, no offense, women. That's not, No offense, women. You're not to be blamed for that. It's your environment. But what I'm saying is, there's an opportunity for everyone. What I'm saying is 100% of men want certain women. In the same way, 100% of women want certain men. And you can be rest assured that the guys that are going to come from the Men of High Value channel are going to be part of those top 20%. But, having said that, obviously there's going to be men on this side that are not going to be perfect, right? There's going to be men that have definitely set in place the foundations that are 100% necessary to qualify to be a man of high value in this system. Those things are basically the financial foundation, the integrity, the trust, the loyalty, the integrity, the honesty, all of that stuff that is necessary. His willingness to improve, his willingness to learn, his willingness to progress and to fail and to move forward and to build big businesses, all of those things. His mentality needs to be in place. And very often, this is the biggest turn on for women. Their confidence, right? He has to have confidence and self-worth and self-value and have gone through hell in order for him to feel peace inside so that he can lead this type of family. Because it's going to require a different type of guy in order to achieve this, right? Not just anyone can get in here and become a man of high value. Even if they gave me $10 million, if he screws up a family, that doesn't do me any good, does it? That doesn't do the movement any good. So I don't care about a guy's money, no matter how much money he has. What I care about is his mental capacity for the things that are necessary, okay? But most importantly, the trust. Can we trust him? That's the most important thing. And if he has that, you can be rest assured that you will be able to trust him first, which is the foundation of everything else that we're talking about. It is the foundation of being in love. It's the foundation of him taking the blame, and it's the foundation of you receiving your luxurious living. Trust, right? But imagine if he has that in place, but maybe he still has some skin issues. Maybe he has some distortions on his body. Maybe he's not that handsome as you'd like for him to be. But guess what? As women, they don't really care as much for looks as much as they care for the confidence, as they care about the trust, as they care about his luxurious living possibilities. It's amazing how women work, but fortunately, the universe has made it so that women don't care that much about looks. But the cool part is that this man of high value will also develop his looks over time and become more built and become more handsome. And the cool part about it, the more testosterone he builds, which is part of this entire movement, the more his DNA changes and morphs into basically you as a woman looking at him and being like, wow, this guy's a god. Okay? And that's what we're creating for you guys. But they're not going to be perfect. Maybe he's going to have, premature ejaculation problems. Maybe he's not going to be as good at, there's going to be issues. But that's okay. This is the transition phase, and this is you getting the best possible man that you can get so that you can get your 10 when it comes to happiness, when it comes to passion, when it comes to love, when it comes to not having to take any of the blame in the luxurious living. Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's a supply and demand thing. We all want, of course, the best at the top of the ladder, but then if all of these guys are taken, obviously we're going to take the guy that's most available, but because we understand how in love works, and he has the foundation set up right, you're gonna love him. You're gonna be passionate about him. You're gonna be like, wow, I got this guy. Even though there might be guys that are better than him, who cares? Your hypergamous nature actually works very well in 3 in Love. That's what's so perfect about this system, is because you guys are spending the majority of your time, 80 to 95%, with other women who also like him. And because they like him, they speak highly of him, and because his reputation now gets to you on a daily basis, you actually, he becomes mysterious. He's not around all the time, and that makes it exciting, and because of that, that hypergamous nature is actually working in your favor instead of against you. A huge part of this movement, right? That's part of, us discovering the things that we learned. 3 in Love works perfectly for female nature. Anyway, having said that, knowing that they're not going to be perfect allows you to also not have to be perfect. Okay? Knowing that they're not going to be perfect allows you to also know that you don't have to be perfect. We live in a world with imperfect people striving and struggling together to move towards heaven. One day in the future, evolution will cause it to be the world to be in such a way that all men and all women will be beautiful, will be handsome, will be amazing. The further back in history you go, the uglier men and women were. This is the shallow aspect. Not only the uglier they were, but the more masculine women were. And the more feminine men were. Why do you think there were so many wars in the past? Right? As we evolve as a species, we become better and our DNA improves and we become more beautiful and better, etc., etc., etc. That's how this world progresses over time. Right? We're going to have downfalls at time, but then we get back up. And then we're going to have a little bit more downfall, and then we get back up. It's like a graph that goes steadily but surely upward, but sometimes it takes a dip, right? Families, struggle and don't function well, and then the next generation actually does fantastic. But over time, we keep improving as a species, which is why I have huge hope for the future. Okay, so having said that, since you don't have to be perfect, allow that to unburden you. Because that's part of the process. We want women and children to be unburdened, to be allowed to be themselves and not have to worry or care for unnecessary things. Right? So, having said that, lately I've been spewing out on this channel what in a perfect world, men would want if they could have it, okay? You know your list. This is gonna be a long video, I'm just warning you. You have a long list of the things that you would love to have in a man. But he's not gonna qualify for that list. You've discovered that, right? But as long as he's a guy who wants and is willing to improve, that's all you need, right? As long as he understands female nature and understand how your psychology works so that you can be turned on at all places when he's around, then it's okay for him to not qualify on everything on that list. And at some point in the future, he's also going to die, right? He's not going to be a man of power when he's on his deathbed. Now he's going to live longer than majority of people, like the 99.99% of the male population. but he's also going to lose power slowly but surely over time, but you will also, right? So it's an imperfect journey of imperfect people towards a perfect destination. So if you have that set up now, you have that list, he has that list, and I was talking about what he would want if he could choose. Now this is a horrible list because none of you guys qualify, right? But this isn't a perfect world, and I feel it is important that I just read up the list so that you can be disgusted for a little second, and then I'm going to explain to you why this list in many ways is irrelevant to you right now. I'm just going to do it because so you know and you understand that this is what men would want if they could. So you have a direction. So you know in what kind of which direction to go, right? You don't know what men want if you're never told by anyone. And men are never gonna tell you this, right? You're only gonna hear on YouTube that men want beauty. Men want beauty when men want beauty. But very often the guys on YouTube are feminine. And they're talking about girls, talking about girls, talking about girls. If you go to the Men of High Value channel, you'll find, even though my expertise is female nature, I almost never talk about girls. Have you noticed that? So that's what I'm telling you guys, is that this channel will help you to understand what true masculine men desire. And if you just simply know that, you know in what direction to go. In the same way, we as men need to accept what things that women desire so that we can choose the right women so that we can have a perfect connection for our three girls in love. Understand that men in this thing right here are only going to be able to choose 3 women for the rest of their lives. They can never go back on this decision if they're men of high value. In the same way, you'll only choose 1 man. So it's an important decision as well. So we gotta make sure that this selection process is a good one. And so it's good that you have time to prepare and allow me and the system and the community to prepare to give you guys the best possible men that we can. Imperfectly. Having said that, what do men want, masculine men want, if they could choose? Well, they'd want multiple, fiercely loyal, unburdened, and beautiful, young, and fertile women. If they could choose, they'd want a virgin. This is very difficult these days. Probably not gonna happen in this transition phase, right? Because most women, guess what? They lose their virginity at around 15, 16. Maybe not most, but I think so, actually. There's a lot of, before high school, it's like 80% of them have lost their virginity. I don't know the exact specifics and statistics there, but you know yourself. You know when you've debuted, right? And a lot of women, lie about their age as well, of when they started. Let's see. Beauty, okay, we want, men desire women that don't have kids. No offense, but that's just how it is from before, right? Because they don't want to take upon another man's burden. That just makes sense. They don't want a woman that has burdens, which is very interesting. Guys can say that, I'm basically putting 5 videos in one here, but anyway. Men want women that are not burdened. Very often you'll see feminine men wanting masculine women. Very often, masculine women. That's the definition of burden, right? Why do they want these masculine women? Very often because these masculine women have a lot of experience in bed. So they're very racy and they're very feisty and all that stuff. And feminine men are the ones that like that. But it's warped. It's horrific. It's not the way the world works because these feminine men are not interested in commitment. Right? And that's not a system that works. So we gotta look at, masculine men who desire long-term commitment. What are they looking for? Well, they're looking for a woman who is unburdened, who is feminine, and doesn't have a lot of problems and cares and sorrows. No tattoos, no debts. Do you have debt? Are you thinking about college? Don't do it, because it's a bad idea. No college degree, no addictions. That's a burden. No emotional baggage. Let's see. Young, fertile. On this movement, we say 20 plus. in terms of age. Desire kids, not into politics, good one, and preferably, let's see, flexible, is a fantastic chef, important. Desire cleanliness, long hair, very important, etc., etc. So I gave you a list. It's a random order. I'm not saying that those are the things that, it's this order, not at all. But those are the things mashed up into one of what men would write down, masculine men would write down if they were to write a list. And yes, beauty is extremely important, but if they truly, truly go deep inside their brains and begin to look at what are they trying to set up here? What kind of lifestyle do they desire? Very often, the more beautiful a woman, the more potential issues she's gonna have, right? So it's about finding that perfect mashup of a person who fits you. Times 3. So having said that, what are the most important things? Because it's not beauty, guys. Even though beauty is crucially important, absolutely, and you got to work on your beauty for the rest of your life. And guess what? Women actually love working on their beauty because they love feeling beautiful and they love making other women beautiful. So 3 in Love will take care of that. But what is the order of the things that I just mentioned? I'm going to give it to you right now. The most important thing, I've already mentioned this in this video. Number 1 is loyalty. Loyalty, 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 loyalty. Men, masculine men desire loyalty above anything else. There's nothing more important than loyalty. And you'll find out. Because if a man finds out that you cheated on him, that's one of the things that is extremely difficult for a masculine man to let go of. And for him to take the blame for. Right? So you need to assist him. It is his fault. Massively his fault. But you need to assist him in a way so that you never, ever are disloyal to him. Because then you've screwed over so much of the relationship that needs to heal over that. And most men don't manage to handle it. So that's the number 1 thing. And that's something any woman can work on. Right? And it's not, I understand that it's not a choice if he gives you a crappy environment. Right? That's when it becomes his fault. But if he gives you, if he's putting in massive effort, it is important that you make it your focus and as much as possible make it a decision that you will be loyal for life. You don't break up with people. You give people another chance, etc., etc. Again, it's not your fault if you're struggling and you can't handle it. But when you are in a three in love relationship, the cool part about it is that as long as he provides you with an environment where you are unburdened, and he provides you with an environment where he is powerful, then you'll be in love, and you'll be obsessed, and that will help your loyalty. So it is completely his fault if you're not loyal. But if you just simply understand this point, that you want to give him as much power as possible. That's really the point here. Number 1, a masculine man desires a woman who gives him all of the power. Man, I said it so much more simply. Why didn't I just say that from the beginning? A masculine man wants women that give him power. All of the power. Okay? Because that produces a turn on for you as a woman. And that in turn produces obsession. And that in turn produces loyalty. And that in turn produces consistency, which in turn allows him to be consistent and create the exponential growth curve that is necessary for him to achieve his dreams and purposes. Does that make sense? It's number 1. Number 2, and you can work on it. That's the most important thing. It's more important than beauty. It's more important than all of the other crap that I've written down there. It's more important than all of your crappy and shitty past. That's the most important thing. Can you work on that? Can you write down 100 times in a journal, I am loyal, I am loyal, I'm loyal. Just an example. Number 2, this is what men desire. You know that number 2 is multiple women. 3 in love. You know that for men, it is more important to have loyalty than to have multiple women. How can I say that if this is the 3 in Love channel? If this is the Women of High Value channel, we talk about 3 in Love, 3 in Love, 3 in Love, 3 in Love. Well, guess what? Loyalty, you can work with that. You can progress towards 3 in Love with that. But if there's no loyalty, if it's a possibility that there's going to be a breakup, that you're going to depart from each other, and that's normal, that's a problem. A man doesn't want to do that. It messes up his wealth. It messes up his thinking. It takes time and effort. What if there's kids involved? No. Loyalty is number 1. Always. And that's why he's loyal too, by the way. And number 2 is 3 in Love, having multiple women. Is that something you can work on? Absolutely. And I'm going to give you the steps. I haven't finished yet. You can work on understanding 3 in Love and desire 3 in Love with all of your heart, might, mind, and passion. Because if you do that, you have massively, drastically increased your sexual market value like this to a man of high value. Are you a loyal person? Boom, you bumped up your sexual market value by two whole points, right? If you're a 4, you just simply made yourself a 6. Rating women is of course horrific, right? But I'm just giving you an example of how important these 2 things that I've just mentioned is. And if you simply say, I want to be in 3 in Love, boom, you got some more points. Do you understand what I mean? Having said that, number 3 is men want women that are unburdened. That's it. And what is the definition of unburdened for women? Femininity. That's what men desire. They want a woman who's feminine. This is also more important than beauty. Beauty is not even top 3, women. Okay, so don't worry about it. If you guys are wondering, I don't know if I'm beautiful enough for these men, blah, 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 blah. We're only looking like, those are the 3 things we're looking for the most. Can you do that? Because if you can do that, you can get yourself a man of high value. Right? Number 3 is unburdened, being feminine. And this is basically just getting rid of all of your outside crap and have a funnel vision towards his vision. Because if you're burdened by things of life and whatever it is that has nothing to do with him, then you're burdening him. And if you're burdening him, you're causing it so that he has less capacity to move forward with power. This is also one of the reasons why we need 3 in Love, because when the 3 actually take care of each other, they nurture each other, they're there for each other, they solve small problems together. Instead of, one woman trying to get her man to give her attention and trying to get him to be part and active in the kids' lives and blah, 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 blah. The women take care of all of his other crap, okay? All of the small stuff, the itty-bitty stuff. It's the little things that count. That's femininity. Because masculinity is to have more important things to do. Do you understand what I mean? You being burdened from other stuff doesn't help him. So he desires, when he's looking for his 3 in Love, he wants 3 women that are unburdened, feminine. Obviously, guess what? All in the transition phase right now, all of these women are gonna have crappy pasts, shitty pasts, tons of, boyfriends. Hopefully they have less, right? Of all of whatever has happened in their past, right? Preferably, you'll have as little as possible that he has to deal with, right? Because it's burden. But guess what? You can work on that. You can work on becoming more unburdened every single day. This is part of the preparation process, guys. Learn how to become more loyal, meaning learning how to keep your promises, if possible, right? And number 2 is being able, I repeat myself, but, learning about 3 in Love and getting started with it. Number 3, becoming unburdened and prioritizing that over everything else in your life. Because if you do that, you're prioritizing your future man. He's out there, right? He's out there. He's working right now preparing for you. Did you know that? Sometimes you don't think about it like that. You're like, oh, am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? No, if you're part of the 3 in love system, you've already boosted your sexual market value massively, which makes it so that you know that in your future, there's place for everyone here. Because there is a man out there right now, ambitious, desiring to provide luxuriously for a woman of high value who is loyal, who is in 3 in love, and who is unburdened. And then he will focus on unburdening her more with his luxurious living and allowing her to be in love, to have passion, but also taking the blame so that she can have peace. And he can have peace, right? Again, all of this is mixed together. And number 4, I'd say, is beauty, okay? It is important. We can't sugarcoat it, right? Depth is important in terms of, the connection that you have with someone, the personality and all that stuff. But you gotta have shallow. Shallow is what creates attraction. Attraction creates desire. Desire is what creates his desire in order for him to go forward in his life and achieve his purposes. If there's no shallowness, if there's no beauty, if there's no desire for sexual, gratification, although it is delayed, it's not instant, then where is his drive? There won't be a drive. Why do you think he's voluntary celibate right now? Right? So that's what I'm saying, is that beauty is crucial, but it is not top 3. But it is top 4. So it's something that you need to work on if you're not as beautiful as you could potentially be. But know that if you unburden yourself, you actually automatically become more beautiful. Do you know that women that are unburdened smile more? Smiling makes you beautiful instantly. You actually, if you're unburdened, you take care of yourself. You do things for yourself. You nurture other people. You're actually good to other people, etc., etc. You actually care about other people. The more masculine you are, the more you don't have capacity for anyone else. The more masculine you are, the more you use stimulants and all that crap. The more feminine you are, the more in line with nature you are. And that's what masculine men are looking for, because they themselves are aligned with nature. Okay, and number 5, cooks well. Are you a good cook? If not, start today or tomorrow. Learn to become a fantastic cook. If you suck at cooking, you gotta learn, because that's one of the most important things in family life that there is. And a way to a man's heart is through his stomach, I've heard, and somewhere else as well. But seriously, that's just how it works. You gotta know how to cook. And that's good for you too. That's not just for him. That's good for your kids. That's good for your 3 in love, your 2 other best friends forever. It's good for everyone. Learn how to cook. And if you can learn how to plant your own food and grow it yourself, even better, right? All of those things go together. And I would say number 6 is young and fertile. Why? Because he wants kids. And the younger you are, because of nature has made it that way, the healthier your children are going to be, the less likely, less probability there's going to be of a miscarriage, etc., 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 etc. You know why, right? So and also nature and the universe has made it so that women are simply more beautiful the younger they are. And at 20 years old, that's when we recommend that you should start looking to find a man of high value. Not looking, but preparing. By being on this channel and being part of the movement, and then over time qualifying for a man of high value in a 3 in love setting. Having said that, again, this is a long video. Listen to it 2.0 and listen to it again, because I think it's actually pretty good. Is the last part, which is the next steps. I go from A to B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. You want 3 in love? Or you want this lifestyle that I've suggested? You want the man of high value who gives you luxurious living that you have the opportunity of being obsessed with because you're in love for the rest of your life, and you have peace in your heart because he takes all of the blame? These are the steps, one by one, of what you should be focused on depending upon where you are on your journey. Number 1, or A, study the system. That's what I said in the beginning. Look through all of these videos, understand this, because what I teach is according to a masculine man's understanding and desire for his life, okay? Study the system carefully everything. The Men of High Value movement, okay, you don't need to know everything there because it gets boring after a while. I just repeat to them again and again and again that they need to do things that they're not comfortable with and that they don't feel like doing. Discipline, blah, blah, blah. And it might even make you a bit more masculine if you listen to that channel, because I've heard of women who like want to apply the things that I teach men there, and it's not a good idea because it's going in the opposite direction of where you should be. But study the Women of High Value channel, the system. Why? For loyalty. Number one, because if you're not certain if this is for you, you want this to be so part of you, so ingrained in you that it allows you to be loyal for life in the 3 in love setting, right? Because you don't want to be one of the women that enter into 3 in love and then departs from the unit because of whatever your father said this, or your ex-boyfriend came back, or whatever happens. Study the system. Number 2, which is kind of in line with what I was saying here, also for loyalty, only listen to those that have exactly what it is that you want. You want to be in love, you want someone else to take the blame, and you want luxurious living. Only listen to those that have that. And they're not many, right? Only listen to those that have extreme amounts of happiness in their life and whose lives are working. Because very often you'll find people tell you a bunch of advice and, oh no, don't join this group and don't be part of this and are you crazy and blah, blah, blah. And then you need to observe their lives and see if you want their lifestyle. Do you want their levels of happiness? Because they're not very happy. There's mostly just dysfunctional families. Number C. Okay, this is also for loyalty. If you haven't started yet, start now with voluntary celibacy. No more racking up more sexual partner counts. This is it. No more voluntary celibacy until you found your men of high value, and even when you find him. You stay voluntary celibate until you guys have committed for life for each other, right? You don't join him sexually before you guys know for a fact that it's you, and it's you for life, together with your 2 best friends forever. Voluntary celibacy. Do not seek out men. Do not date. Do not start the process. You're not ready. Because they're not ready. That's what I'm saying here. If you want to be part of this group, this is the right step. D. Cut down your career ambitions. Cut down your career ambitions. Why? So that you can become life and happiness ambitious. Because right now, a lot of you women who are listening to this channel have gone through a bunch of crap. You don't trust men. And so because of that, you need to make sure you're financially secure, blah, blah, blah. Keep your job, okay? Keep your job, whatever it is, or find a better job if you don't like the one you have, if it burdens you, whatever. But be less career driven. The more career driven you are, the less attractive you become for a masculine man. Because he doesn't need that. He has no need for your career drivenness. No need. And if he does, you can know for a fact that he's a feminine guy. And you should stay the hell away from him, right? Does that make sense? So, stop the career-driven ambitiousness and rather move towards life and happiness ambition. Okay, and part of D is also cut down your expenses towards living a minimalist lifestyle. The FIRE movement. Financially independent, retire early. I want you to understand those principles there because that will help you in the beginning part of the relationship in 3 in love. For you to be a minimalist is fantastic. This is what masculine men desire. Right? He doesn't want a woman that massively spends everything. Yeah, but Joseph, you said that we're going to get luxurious living. Yes, but it's on basically his timetable. Why? Because he is responsible for your protection and your financial security for life. So if there's a financial collapse, he needs to be more ready than anyone else in the entire world, which means that he's going to want to gradually but surely increase your standard of living over time exponentially, right? But in the beginning, you'll probably want to have learned the minimalist lifestyle so that you don't have these massive, extravagant expectations in the beginning of the relationship. I'm just saying, this is what would help the relationship to work, right? You have 3 women that are like massively spenders and credit cards, and they're like, oh, why aren't you giving us money? No, you've prepared yourself. Because you look at this relationship as something that's going to last forever. And what do people fight the most about in relationships? It's money, right? So if you learn how to become a minimalist, then you're not going to create as much problems when it comes to the monetary thing. And maybe you won't even create any problems because you're so happy that someone is providing for you and he's committed to provide for you for life, right? Let's see. Also, get off welfare. If you're living on welfare right now, get a job. I'm just saying it the way it is. Yeah, but Joseph, I can't. Well, then hire a coach to help you to get ready to get going. Because being on welfare is not very attractive. I'm just saying. And that has nothing to do with being career driven. That has to do with being burdened. If you're on welfare, that means that you need the government to provide for you. And that means that you're burdened, you're masculine, you can't provide for yourself. That's not attractive for a man of high value. So, but do you understand what I mean? So it's that aspect, you gotta understand this. Okay, E. Get off of, this is kind of part of the voluntary celibacy thing, but get off of all your addictions. No more addictions, none so ever. If there's anything you're addicted to, you got to be disciplined in order for you to get rid of it. If you're addicted, you're not, how is that going to be consistent for a man of high value? A man of high value is not going to want to be with someone who's addicted. Addiction means burden. This is you unburdening yourself. This is you being loyal. This is you, preparing yourself for a relationship that lasts forever. You got to get off of all addictive behaviors and stimulants. This doesn't sound very feminine, does it? How I'm supposed to be feminine? The journey towards femininity very often is masculine one. In order for my wife to get me when we dated, she was feminine, but she had to be somewhat masculine to get rid of the other issues that she had in her life so that I would look at her and feel that I was attracted to her. Right? So you've got to think the same way. You've got to be disciplined. That's why I said cut down on your career drivenness and increase on your drivenness towards femininity and towards being unburdened. Does that make sense? Because you won't have capacity to do both because they go in opposite directions. And what are some addictive behaviors? Well, number one, I'd say cut out porn. Huge one. If you're watching porn, stop. It's not good for you and it's not going to lead you anywhere well, and it's bondage. Alcohol. Do you drink alcohol? I tell you to stop. Don't drink alcohol. It's not good for you. It's not good for your body. It's going to cause you to die at an early age, etc., etc., etc. Oh, but there's studies. No, stop drinking. No addictions. No, not at all. No smoking. All drugs gone. Do you use over-the-counter pills for depression or whatever it is? Your goal is to get off of any medication whatsoever. Over time, with your doctor. I'm not a doctor, so consult with your doctor when it comes to this. But in terms of being unburdened, you should get rid of all stimulants, all drugs, all anything that messes up your hormonal balances. Because it's fake. Right? I can make a video on all of this. But basically, if you have stuff that you need for your emotions, you don't hear the truth. And we need the truth. Right? You need to know what the truth is about what your body is telling you, what your brain is telling you, and do you understand what I mean? When you are putting in stuff in your body that's not supposed to be there, then you are warping reality and warping the truth. It's not good for you. Okay. F. Make daily exercise a part of who you are. This is also somewhat masculine, but it's not really if you do it in the feminine way. Join group classes, join Zumba, just do, if you're overweight, it has to go. It has to go. No man of high value will want to be with a woman that is overweight. Simply put, you have to take care of this one if you have not already. And it's not so that you are like, a exercise junkie or you're bulky or all that stuff. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm telling you to move towards optimal health. Optimal health, we know for a fact from science and from attraction that you need to be slim. And part of that is becoming thin. Now, obviously, again, I need to make a video about that because it's not as easy as it sounds. And this is one of the most important things that you can do on your journey. Okay, what else? Learn how to cook extremely well. This is going to help you also lose weight, because together with fasting, together with cooking healthily, you're going to eat the right stuff, and you're preparing yourself to give him nutritious meals, your best friends forever, so that all of you can cook once in a while, so there's not just one of them that can cook and she has to cook all the time, and she has to train the other two. It's better if all three come, and then you guys can be in the kitchen and figure out some awesome recipes that you can hand on to generation to generation to generation. See what I mean? And H, learn to nurture others and be nurtured. Take care of other people. Learn how to take care of others. Learn to take care of their bodies in terms of hair, skin, nails. Like, learn all of the health aspects that makes women beautiful and that assist them in terms of also giving them estrogen. The more you spend time with women taking care of their health and their bodies that way, the more they take care of yours. But in the same way, like, this gives you estrogen. It gives you oxytocin, and it makes you more feminine. So it unburdens you, makes you more feminine, and also makes you more beautiful. So it's a win-win-win. And the last one is start doing tons of activities with other women. Share this channel, for example, and develop hobbies, etc., etc. And look through the list that I said earlier about flexibility and dancing and whatever it is that you want to improve and get good on at. Not for the man necessarily, but for you to enjoy your life. Because, like, men don't really care that much about your talents or hobbies or whatever, or your knowledge and whatever. No, we want what we want, okay? We're simple. However, it spices life up if you are actually good at those other things. So if you have capacity for that, then take care of that. Anyway, this has been longer than 1 hour. I've been speaking. I haven't drunk any water. I thank you so much for watching this far, if you've watched all the way. If you understand these principles, this will make your life absolutely amazing. One small step at a time. Move towards loyalty, move towards 3 in love, move towards unburdening yourself and being feminine, and then move towards beauty, and then cooking, and then the other things as well. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome. I'll see you in the next one.